Warning, this podcast contains spoilers for Secret Invasion episodes 3 and 4. Hello, my name is Jason Concepcion.
And I'm Rosie Knight.
And welcome to X-Ray Vision, the Crooked Media podcast, where we dive deep into your favorite shows, movies, comics, and pop culture.
In this episode, previously on, some exciting DC casting news. And there has been a lot of it as the studios
There has been a lot.
They are trying to tie down these actors before this SAG strike potentially happens
Don't
at
leave
midnight
us.
tonight.
Please don't do it. Don't leave us.
Don't do it. So there's lots of DC casting news in the Airlock. Secret Invasions episode 3 and 4. And we have questions.
We have questions.
Lots of questions.
And nerd out. Oh, no, why am I doing this? I don't know. Sorry.
It's you. You're impersonating me. You're a scroll.
Yeah.
A very relevant Secret Invasion theory.
And coming up next, previously on. Okay, first up, some DC casting news. It was announced today's Wednesday, July 12th, that Barry's Anthony Kerrigan, a.k.a. NoHo Hank, a.k.a. a gentleman I see around town on a regular basis. I ate dinner from him one table over, and he seems like a wonderful gentleman, will be playing Metamorpho, a.k.a. Rex Mason, in what has to be one of the most perfect castings out of the box
10 out of 10, no notes, best casting ever.
Yeah.
Like, this is the kind of casting where you just put it in a group chat and you're like, perfect. And everyone's just like, perfect. I'm so glad I saw this. Like, this is incredible. Give the casting director $1 million. Give James Gunn some props, because I'm sure this was one of the things that he was like excited about doing. This is such a fun character. Metamorpho, created by Bob Haney, and one of my icons, Ramona Fredon, still making comics to this day. She's an icon. Debuted in The Brave and the Bold 57 in January 1965. Wow. A really good, weird character. Been in The Outsiders, Doom Patrol, Justice League Europe, 7 Soldiers of Victory, Justice League Task Force, and more. Just like a super good, weird, deep cut DC character. So let me ask you a question before we get into these other ones. Please. Is this really a Superman movie? Because there are a lot of characters that have been cast. We're talking about one of the biggest ensemble movies since like Endgame with the amount of characters. So how do you balance a Superman origin story, a Superman Lois Lane working in, the Daily Planet kind of story? How do you balance that with Metamorpho and all these other cool castings that we're about to get into?
I think that it is going to be a Superman origin story, but a Superman origin story in the sense of it will be the reveal of Superman to the world. Clark Kent has been working as a reporter, doing stuff that, he knows about his powers. Maybe he's flown around and saved a few people here and there, a bus from falling into a river,
cat from a tree,
that kind of thing. But now with other superheroes and supervillains in play, the supervillains perhaps start overpowering the superheroes, the very whatever version of early versions of a super team they have here. And so Superman has to reveal himself and be like, okay, I guess I'm going to step in.
I think that's great.
What do you think?
Yeah. I'll tell you my theory after we reveal some of the other characters, because I think those are the selling point to me. Next
up, Isabella Merced, Vanity Fair exclusively announced, will play Hawkgirl. Isabella Merced, you're familiar with from the absolutely appalling Sicario Day of the Soldado. Terrible, horrendously awful movie. Its politics are truly, truly outrageously bad.
Horrendous.
I enjoyed the first Sicario. The sequel is terrible. And also Dora and the Lost City of Gold.
Actually delightful. 10 out of 10 would recommend if you have not seen it. It's a joy.
And I will say, the inclusion of a Hawkgirl kind of has me feeling, this is kind of why I say, I wonder if it's going to be like a Justice Society kind of thing. Yeah. And then the Justice Society just gets like murked. And so Superman has to be like, okay, I'm here.
That's a really great point, actually, because we know that was what, if we look at James Gunn's patterns, with Suicide Squad, he announced all these different people playing all these different deep cut heroes and then killed them off in the first, 5 minutes of the movie. Now, do I think it's going to be that quick? Probably not. But I do think Hawkgirl's a really interesting addition. I like your thing about the JSA. I think that's right. This is such a weird deep cut character. It's just like Hawkman. There's like multiple versions. Like the original version is the wife of Carter Hall, who is, you know, I guess in the old days, the associate of the Justice Society. They're like, she can't be in it. She's just a woman. But she's created by Icon Gardner Fox, love him, Dennis Neville, from Flash Comics #1, January 1940. That's how old this character is. There's been like other different versions. The Thanagarian one, who is the wife of Carter Hall, spelt differently. Another Gardner Fox with Joe Kubert. And then Kendra Saunders, who's like the modern one that I think most people know. James Robinson, David S. Goyer, friend of the pod.
Friend
Good
of the
old
pod.
David, icon, superhero movie icon, and Steven Sadowski. And that's like a 90s version. I think, knowing James, this is probably going to be an amalgamation / something a little bit new, because they're, apart from in the DCAU, the animated films and the TV, I would say that is the real definitive version of Hawkgirl for a lot of people, is the animated DC version. So I think there's space on screen for a really great Hawkgirl. There was a Hawkgirl in the CW, but I feel like this could be a really cool space. Also, Hawkman was played by Aldous Hodge in the much maligned, rightfully so, Black Adam. But Aldous Hodge was brilliant. That was cool casting. The costume looked great. I would like to maybe see him come back. It's just bonkers to me. Like, that is such an out there casting for a Superman movie.
Yeah.
But it's not the last out there casting.
It is not the last out there casting. We continue. Edie Gathegi, who we know as from X-Men First Class, and what was possibly the worst death in a Marvel-related film of a character that definitely should not have died at that
Darwin, his
particular
literal
time.
power is he always evolves. We know that you're all sick of hearing about this because people like us talk about it all the time, but it's true. I'm so happy to see him get his props here and get a new character. Also, a very cool character, Mr. Terrific. I love this character. I think this is so cool and out there, and I was absolutely not expecting this.
Tell us about Mr. Terrific.
So Mr. Terrific's really cool. He has a cool jacket that says fair play. And it is a legacy mantle, so there's been multiple different versions. There was actually a really cool version in the CW, played by Echo Kellum, who I really like, Curtis Holt. But this is going to be the Michael Holt character, created by John Ostrander, Tom Mandrake.
The great
Really
Suicide
cool
Squad
team.
creator, John
And
Ostrander.
he's like a super intelligent inventor who designs these floating orbs, the T-spheres, and that's his weapon. And he has this really iconic costume design that is like a leather kind of racing jacket, and he has the T painted on his face. Now, the art that they used for this was by Alex Ross, which is probably the most famous art. And I would say, this is the one where with the other characters, look, don't quote me on this. This is a tinfoil hat theory, right?
Okay, I'm excited.
To me, this feels like James Gunn's doing a Kingdom Come movie. Like the roster of characters, something that's so different. What is the legacy of Superman? The movie's called Superman Legacy. Like, is the legacy that there's this threat that he cannot deal with, so other heroes have to come in and be involved in it? I just feel like, to me, these kind of out there characters, especially like with Mr. Terrific and the next one, it's feeling Kingdom Come-ish, but I think that is a huge, ambitious leap for the first movie in the DCU, because it's essentially Elseworlds. But I'm not going to lie, this been giving me Kingdom Come vibes with all these castings.
Wow. Well, here is the final announced casting. Nathan Fillion of lots of things that you probably like fame, including Firefly and more, will portray a Green Lantern, specifically Guy Gardner, as confirmed by James Gunn on Twitter. And this only bolsters my theory that a lot of these people are dying.
Gonna die.
In the first 15 minutes of this movie. Nathan Fillion will die in this movie.
He always died. Look, he was, the detachable kid, aka like James Gunn's version of Arms Fall Off Boy. He died then. He played the security guard in Guardians of the Galaxy, who was always ragging on the Pete Davidson character. Like, he didn't kind of have a main role. Nathan Fillion definitely doesn't seem like he's going to survive long, especially as Guy Gardner, who, like, I love Guy Gardner because he is the annoying Green Lantern. But, like, when you think of Green Lantern, you think of Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart or Kyle Rayner.
Yeah.
You know, you don't think of
Guy
ginger
Gardner
bowl cut Guy Gardner who's always like fucking around and doing some rude shit and annoying everyone. So I think you're right. I would not bet on him surviving the movie.
Do you think he makes it 20 minutes?
I wonder. James Gunn has been doing a good job trying to cast Nathan Fillion in a main superhero role for a long time. Nova was one of the ones that everyone was talking about. Allegedly, there was going to be a poster of him in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 where he was going to be Wonder Man, like the kind of Hollywood Wonder Man version. So maybe this is the time where James has found that perfect role for him and he can kind of pop up around the DC universe. But, like, is it more likely that he's the first Green Lantern we meet and he dies? Yes, I agree.
All of these characters, of course, will appear in Superman Legacy, a movie that we're increasingly excited about. It will exist, and we can't wait to see it.
2 years.
Crazy stuff. Up next, Secret Invasions, episodes 3 and 4. We're stepping out of the airlock and into New York of 1998 to talk about episode 3, Betrayed, of the Secret Invasion television program on the Disney Plus streaming network, directed by Ali Slim, written by Roxanne Paredes and Brian Tucker. We start with Beto, who is maybe Fury's son, and I'm increasingly convinced he's Fury's son, right? Although Fury doesn't know. Can Skrulls
have babies? I don't know. We're going to be talking about that in this episode. Do they have babies that are human? Do they have humans that turn into Skrulls? Unclear.
It's a very comics thing that would happen.
Yes.
And we open on Beto. He's being questioned about why he specifically wants to be a warrior in the Skrull Rebellion. He's like, well, we got to have a home. And the guy interviewing is like, great, good answer. That is the extent of my questioning.
Feel like it should have been more questions.
Here, I would like to hand you the reins of a very, very sensitive mission to destroy a plane, a UN plane that will be carrying multiple politicians, and you're going to impersonate a soldier.
Sounds bad.
Gravik is studying his super Skrull machine. The council arrives. He's brought them in to kind of like flex in front of the machine. And he's like, okay, here's what's going on with my latest attack. 3 Skrulls dressed as soldiers. They're going to strike a UN facility, and then World War III. That's it. That's the extent of the plan. And when World War III happens, then we unleash the Super Skrulls. And by the way, that's going to be all of us. Don't just think because I've only got one of these machines and there's a million of us that I'm not going to get to every single one of you and give you Skrull powers. It's going to take a while, and we're going to have to do some kind of lottery system with numbers because clearly the bandwidth is not there. I don't know how long this process takes, but we will all get Super Skrull powers and be weapons of mass destruction.
Let's talk about this, yeah. This is his plan to deal with the Avengers.
You could do, if maybe you do 10 a day.
Maybe. I mean, how long does it take? I want to talk. Look, I understand that Marvel
100,000 days.
I understand Marvel was in a sticky situation here, as they do not know who their Fantastic Four are going to be yet, and they are not sure when they will be introduced, and they wanted to do the Super Skrull. I would have said just wait, because look, let's be real. If you're going to go against, you know, all these heroes in the MCU, there's so many of them. Just think of the end of Endgame. Like, think about how many people there are. And this is the powers you have. Extremis, Groot, an ice demon from Loki's family.
We haven't seen the ice yet.
And then, like, one other weird... one of Thanos' annoying children. Like,
Which I think is just strength. That's probably just strength,
it's like instead of the thing, Like, I just feel like those powers are not really... They don't have the range if you're going up against the Avengers. Like,
but you know what? They can be like, oh, well, we tweaked it. Like, obviously, this is Super Soldier Beta. When this comes out, it's going to be like we got the Super Soldier serum. Like, we got Bucky's metal arms just growing out of everywhere. They're gonna be rolling out improvements. Obviously, like once Mr. Fantastic
gets to see, they're gonna be like, patches.
They're gonna be like, hey, update the firmware. We just found a new powered guy. Clearly, that's what they're going to do. We flash back to New York City, 1998. Younger Fury walks into a diner, perhaps after seeing one of Sam Jackson's own movies. Do you think younger Nick Fury did he like see Pulp Fiction?
Definitely. I feel like a lot of his aesthetic is based on that. He's like, I've just been to see Sphere, the 1998 sci-fi classic. Maybe I went to see The Negotiator.
Starring Sharon Stone.
Prepare to negotiate with this scroll.
An adaptation of a Michael Crichton novel. Michael Crichton, by the way, shocking news. 6'9".
Oh my God. I think about it all the time. I legit think about that all the time. You're 6'9" and you wrote Jurassic Park? This is unbelievable.
So young Nick Fury walks into a diner for a meeting with an agent, and this woman starts flirting with him. Beautiful woman. And Fury soon realizes that this beautiful woman is his Skrull agent, Vara. She passes him some documents relating to Dreykov, the project manager of the Russian Super Assassin Training Center, the Red Room, thus bolstering ever heard of it? Thus bolstering our we were right eligible theory that everything related to Russia is Skrull infected. Fury quickly pivots to, and I'm not sure this holds up to HR scrutiny, immediately pivots to, you looking good. Damn, this, whoever's face and whole vibe that you've taken on, I find it easy on the eyes. I think this is good.
Where's the Saber HR? Give him a call.
Yeah, and Fury's like, can I ask, like, who the lady you maybe killed or have tied up in a basement or, whatever the case may be, like who she is? Vara's like, don't worry about it. But how about this? We could get to know each other. Just you like the way I look? Maybe, we could spend some time together and you could get a closer look. And if you're just like, HR, I don't know. I know I started this conversation, but yeah, we work together. And she's like, yeah, but like we're secret agents, so technically everything's classified. So
we don't exist.
We don't exist. So how can we work together? And
morals
Fury's like,
don't exist.
Yeah, Fury's like, oh, okay, good point. Present day. Fury and Vara are enjoying a married couple breakfast, which she cooked, and it looks good, including coffee. And after cooking this beautiful breakfast, she's like, can I ask you a question? Why haven't you been home in 7 years?
Okay, let's talk about that. Because I assumed when she showed up, Nick Fury's secret wife, I was like, oh, this is so interesting. Everyone's been telling Nick Fury, oh, you're washed. Why have you been hiding in space? Rare. And I was like, no. Nick Fury's actually just been spending time with his secret Skrull wife. That's actually right. Really romantic.
I've been making
cool
love to my Skrull wife.
God, she's been shape-shifting. It's been really weird and freaky. I love it. I was like, this is actually an interesting, complex layer to this new character. No, this man just disappeared for 7 years. She also doesn't know where he's been. And they're still married? She could have just filed him as a missing person. He would have been listed dead after 7 years.
And then Fury has the gall, the unmitigated gall. This woman just cooked him breakfast, including coffee, and their beautiful
accepted him back
mid-century
into her house after 7 years, no issue.
Back into the warmth of their home.
She left his wedding ring on the table for him after 7 years.
And then he immediately is like, have you been radicalized by Gravik? Let me ask you this. What the fuck have you been doing for 7 years? Who have you been talking to? Have you been talking to Gravik? You better fucking let me know. Which is like, come on, Nick, where the fuck are you? You've been gone.
Also, like, isn't she that same Skrull that introduced him to Gravik? Maybe, like, I don't know. Maybe she is chill with him. There's not very many Skrulls in the world, allegedly. Yeah, actually, there's a million, but like...
Just because you talk to him doesn't, anyway. So Vara, is rightfully annoyed at this. And she's like, well, listen, again, for the millionth time, we're going to mention this in this episode and this series. You got snapped, then you came back, then you went to space, and now you're here and you have all this unprocessed trauma. And so, it's very, very difficult to have any kind of quality time with you. And as for what I was doing for 7 years, I became me, the me I was before you, end quote. Then she gets a weird, mysterious phone call where she goes, I don't know about that. I'll talk to you. Yeah. Right. okay, talk to you later. And Fury's like, who's that? And she's like, none of your fucking business. Maybe it's Gravik.
None of your beeswax.
It's none of your beeswax.
Like, nothing to do with you, mate. Okay, this relationship is very confusing to me. So they meet in 1998. How long were they actually together for? Like, he just breezed off to space. Like, also, she is a Skrull. She could have just gone to space with him. We know there are Skrulls on Saber, but she just chose to be chilling in
also,
that. Well,
she was an agent. She was also an agent too. It's not like she was like a Skrull school teacher.
Why did she become
civilian.
like? Yeah, why did she become like a funny housewife? I mean, I respect that. The house is nice, but like, it's confusing.
Here's the vibe I got. So post 1998, I think they're together, but they're still doing this, at least in public, this, how are you? And what's going on? So it seems like they're not together, but they're just doing this kind of like role play thing where it's like their second date, even though it's 15 years later.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Weird.
We go to New Skrullos. Gravik wakes up Gaia. He tells her that Brogan was, the boiling blood guy. Sonya boiled his blood in his body, was likely the guy who tipped off the cops to their plans. Gaia's like, well, listen, Brogan was weak, and I will never fold under torture. She hasn't had her blood boiled in her body.
Yeah, try saying that when your blood's been boiled by Olivia Colman, because that didn't look fun.
Yeah, and then she throws some further dirt on Brogan's grave by saying it was Brogan. He's weaker than you thought. And then Gravik's like, okay, be ready tomorrow for a secret thing. And then next scene is tomorrow, the secret thing. It's why have the line be like, be ready tomorrow? Just cut to the scene.
Yeah, you don't have to say that. With that is a recurring problem as we'll get into. Also, I just want to say, Gaia is like a stone cold bitch, yeah? She literally snitched. Thank you to the Discord members who pointed this out. Yeah. She snitched to Talos, who called the police on the safe house, and then Brogan was murdered for it. Brogan, who did not give up the safe house, by the way, when his blood was boiled.
His blood was being boiled.
She's out here chatting mad shit about him, like, oh, he was so weak. I'm like, this
you gotta
man
do what you gotta do.
Was killed so that you could just snitch to your dad.
Our side. She's on our side. She's trying to stop World War III. We think, I don't know. So they're going to the thing. They're in a car. Gravik tells Gaia that he's going to meet with her dad, Talos, and the subject of the conversation, guess what? It's you. And then while he's in the car, he extremely suspiciously and in a conversation that is clearly bait is like, yes, submarine Neptune, longitude, latitude. Yes, that's exactly where we're going to do it. Goodbye. And then hangs up. And so she puts that information on puts it on a phone, but then smartly, some good tradecraft here, she doesn't text it. She has it passed manually to him. So it doesn't like trigger their communication security, which she actually does trigger later when she actually is called by her dad. Anyway, Gravik and Talos sit down. They're in a museum. They have a little, Gravik's monologuing about the difference between statesmen and warriors, and he's like, "I'm gonna be a warrior statesman. I'm gonna get blood on my hands. I'm gonna build this fucking nation. Let's go to the cafe and have an espresso and talk about it." So they sit down, and Talos is like, "Hey, I got a pitch for you. Stop doing terrorist shit." Oh, why didn't anybody ever try this before? Has anybody ever gone to Gravik and just asked him to stop?
Just stop. I'm sure. You know what? I think Nick has probably done it at some point. I think Vara's probably done it at some point. I think Gaia's probably done it at some point.
You gotta stop.
Talos, was this really your best plan? You were like, I'm going to buy an overpriced museum prepackaged sandwich and sit down.
I'm going to have an espresso.
And I'm going to ask
Gravik to stop.
Just don't. Well, and what do you think you said?
Gravik is like, no, I'm going to continue killing people.
Absolutely fucking not.
I'm going to continue doing terrorist stuff. And by the way, doing terrorist shit is why I'm on the council and you're not on the council, you fucking loser. And P.S., I got your daughter. I'll kill her anytime I want. And Talos, of course, loses it at this. And he is about to attack Gravik, but then he realizes, oh shit, I'm surrounded by Skrulls.
Who all turn into Gravik, by the way. Very Mr. Smith from The Matrix.
Right. But also, well, it saves assets also.
Oh.
And it saves costume budget. And also, it's interesting that Talos and other Skrulls don't have. You'd think there'd be.
Is there like not a
Spidey
Skrull sense?
Or just like a extreme paranoia to be like, are all these people Skrulls? Anybody like eating?
It is weird that their own power that they understand is like so unbelievably impactful, but they just never expect other people to be using it. It's definitely an odd narrative choice. Also, I feel like Talos, he's not really doing his best secret agenting here. Like when he's like, I could kill your daughter. And instead of Talos being like, oh, that's just something dumb that someone like this would say, he probably like gets up in his face in the middle of the museum cafe where some grannies are just trying to chill. And he's like, I'm going to fucking kill you. It's just like, my guy, like take it down a notch. Chill out.
Talos is like, hey, I don't know if you've thought this through, but like World War III, I think it would be very, very destructive.
Well, war is bad.
And also, and I think this is a good point, it would be destructive to us because, of course, the human superheroes would get involved and we'd probably be driven to the brink of extinction. And the humans are much more formidable than you think. And yes, they are very disunited right now and they're at each other's throats and it certainly looks bad, politicization and yada, yada, yada. But if an outside enemy comes, guess what? They're going to fucking unite. So think about it. And then Talos also says, there's a silent majority of Skrulls who agree with me and we're all going to work against you. Don't ask me to name them right now, but they're there.
Don't ask for a list.
Don't ask for it. I know you have a full like operational colony in Russia of all the people who agree with you, but I have like an email list or something. I'll get back to you, but there's a lot of people. It's like certainly a majority of
at
the
least
million
20
that are
people.
here. And don't you dare fucking talk about my daughter again. And he gets Gravik around the neck and stabs him through the hand and then just fucking pieces out. The bodyguards are like, just let this one happen because it's going to be cool. And then Gravik pulls the knife out of his hand and guess what? It's Extremis, the Extremis part of the Super Skrull procedure. And he just like fucking heals up. They perfected it.
Yeah, they perfected it off screen. Sorry to
there aliens?
It kind of Iron Man 3.
It kind of makes sense in the sense that, you know, shouts to Aldrich Killian, but he was a little bit off his rocker, and they have theoretically access to better technology. They have like spaceships and shit, and they have like smart people.
They have 2 human scientists who are helping them. I will say though, I do like
and
your
their genetic makeup is obviously very very different, so they can probably take it better.
I like your read where it's just like this is a fun like Deus Ex Machina for the MCU now. Skrulls are smarter. If there's a problem, the Skrulls can fix it. Skrulls are smarter. It's happening. The Skrulls know.
Later at a bar over a traditional English breakfast.
Delicious.
Fury and Talos meet up. Talos is like, you know, and this is the real marriage here.
This is
of
the
this
marriage
show.
I want to see.
This is the real one. Yes, every time they're together, I'm like, great, just let these guys roll. He's, you know, Talos is like, you only ever want to talk about business. Like, you never want to talk about me. I just stabbed Gravik through the hand and tried to pitch him on not doing the terrorism stuff. And I don't want to talk about that because I ended up with a lot of egg on my face. And now I just want to eat my English breakfast. And Fury is like, okay, got it. But listen, I have info about a rebel Skrull posing as a very highly placed U.S. political figure. And then Talos is like, okay, well, why can't you ever say that you just like need help, that you are kind of washed now and you need me. And so can I just hear it like that Nick Fury needs help from me, Talos? And Nick Fury's like, I need you. I couldn't do it without you.
Yeah.
Which I thought was actually very touching.
It was, but he also like whispers it in his ear. Like, this is definitely the kink of their marriage. Like Nick's like comes up behind him and he's like, I need help. I need your help, Talos.
Talos then shares the info that Gaia passed to her on the burner phone. Fury calls Sonya, who is just being wonderful in her office.
I miss her.
Yeah, I do miss her too. And he's asking about Neptune, which is a British submarine. And Sonya's like, I don't want to talk to you because you bugged my owl, you son of a bitch. And now I have to put a little eye patch over the owl like you. And Nick says, hey, Gravik's trying to start World War III. So could you like stop fucking around with the owl? and talk to me about like who the commander of this sub base is. Like, do you just have that information of this, like one of the many military bases like around that you just like know the commander? She's like, yeah, I got it. It's Captain Robert Fairbanks in Portsmouth.
I was going to say, I feel like
she just had it.
Can I just say, Nick Fury is like on the run. He is suspected of being part of a terrorist attack in Russia that was done for the American government.
He is seen on video shooting Maria Hill in the guts.
Thank you. And she's just like, yeah, you can have it. Like, she's like, don't worry about it. Here's this guy.
He is the main suspect in the Jack Rubying of Maria Hill.
Can I also...
And it's clearly him.
Can I also just say as well, like, she knows that Skrulls exist. So, like, how does she know this is Sam and not a Skrull?
I mean, that's a fucking great point. Because the Skrull wouldn't know. Well, they don't know about the mind reading shit, but like the Skrull wouldn't know about the bug. Yeah. So, but then she brought it up. So it's like, you know, they're very tricky. Anyway, Talos, in what is a very, very funny exchange that I think this could have been more of the show.
Yes,
Talos is like, I don't get why do you guys like dogs? Like, so you just like walk around and pick up their shit? And it's like, man, work this into a tight 5, Talos. I think you have a second act coming as like a stand up. You know, Skrulls be like, it could be good material for you. Fury is like, you know what? I know that we've had a rocky relationship of late, but in this metaphor, you are my dog. And that's... Why did Fury say that?
Why did he say that? He's like, I've been picking up your shit for 19 years. What the fuck? That's fucked up shit for 30 years or whatever. Like, that's fucked up, Nick Fury. Why did you say that? I thought you were trying to be friends with him again. Like, what is occurring?
Talos then makes a very, very good case that, hey, guess what? You wouldn't be where you are, which is clear on the run. But I'm talking about like before that.
When he was director of Nazi S.H.I.E.L.D.
When you were at Saber and when you were the fucking director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that, and putting the Avengers together, you wouldn't have been in that position if not for the very, very important and unheralded work that me and my 19 other Skrull buddies did in disguise at various points along the way of your journey. So acknowledge that, Nick Fury.
Also, like, can we talk about the political ramifications of that? So Nick Fury just had, like, weird undercover Skrull spies / assassins who were just, like, doing all kinds of crazy shit, like, planning world events, like, shifting the state of history and politics. That seems like they just blew over that. I would like to see that, some more details on what occurred.
And also, everybody missed Hydra. Like, like the Skrulls also missed Hydra.
Yeah, let's talk about that. No one gets any credit.
No one gets any credit. Because, honestly, the litany of people, Peggy Carter, fucking Captain America, the Agent 42, like the amount of Tony Stark,
Howard Stark,
Tony Stark's dad, like fucking Hank Pym, the amount of very, 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 very smart people, Talos, all the Skrulls, who missed.
How did the Skrulls miss it when they're like
almost entirely Hydra?
They're shape-shifting into
crazy.
People who were obviously Nazis at
guys.
some point, and they just didn't know. Like, I refuse to believe.
Anyway, they missed it. Fury and Talos arrive at Captain Bob's. Talos wants to go in and disguise, but that immediately gets blown up, and so then Fury has to just kill like half a dozen Skrulls on the way.
So many Skrulls.
They get in. Nick Fury's, going up the stairs. Talos is already up there. He gets a phone call, and it's Talos, and Talos is like, yeah, I'm up here, come on up. But he understands that no, Bob has Talos prisoner. He gets up there, and that is the case. Bob has Talos with a gun to his head, but Nick is fucking ruthless. He comes in with Bob's potentially human son, Bob's son, Zachary.
So
that he has a gun to Zachary's head. He's like, I will.
Bob seems upset. So is that Skrull Bob's son? Is Skrull Bob just feeling the human emotions of human Bob?
Right. He got so lost in the Bob sauce.
There's so many questions.
I think what happens And we've seen this kind of happen in the comics, right? Where the Skrull is doing it for so long that they forget.
Yeah, well, you can almost forget you were a Skrull for sure.
Yeah. And I think that, potentially Bob's been doing it a while. And when they take the memories out of Bob and put it into fake Bob, I think if you live it for long enough, then some of the emotions clearly cross over, because you're absolutely right. Fake Bob is lost in the real Bob sauce and was like, Zachary, I don't want anything bad to happen to Zachary because he's not my son, and I'm about to help start a war that's going to kill billions. But this fucking human kid who's not my son, please don't kill him.
Don't kill him.
And so Fury's like, well, listen, I'm going to kill this kid who's not your son unless you call off the strike on the plane that will be launched from a submarine that is under your command. And then all of a sudden, Fury's like, oh, lightning bolt. Talos, just fucking impersonate Bob. And then Talos is like, I can't, because Bob knows the super secret abort code that we could never, ever figure out. Just like, we need him to do it. Meanwhile, in the sub, the missile control people are like, should we really do this? I don't know.
Seems bad to bomb the UN plane.
This seems weird. So Fury goes medieval, starts torturing fake Captain Bob. And it looks like the missile is really going to get launched. Then Bob makes the cardinal mistake. Absolutely, biggest mistake you could do around Talos was to talk shit about Gaia. And so then Talos shoots Bob. Dude. And now Bob is dead. And then Talos calls Gaia and he's like, Gaia, listen, sorry to blow your cover like this right now. Because as he's calling her, the Skrull communication security people are like, oh, fuck, our communication's been cracked. Talos is like, listen, I need you to find Captain Bob's human body in the fucking body storage. And I need you to fast forward through his memories and get me the abort password so we can stop World War III. She's like, okay. She goes down there. She takes out the guards, gets into the fucking human cold storage, finds Bob, is scrolling through Bob's his Blu-ray fucking playback, chapter by chapter. Rewind. And then guess what? Bob, who is in this very, very, very sensitive military intelligence role, commanding a whole submarine wing that has the power to fucking launch nukes, and his abort password is Zachary, his son's name.
Unrealistic.
Guy, this kid, Bob, why don't you just pick 1, 2, 3, 4, Bob?
My favorite, 1, 2, 3, 4 pound sign. My favorite thing about this is they use it as a really emotional moment. Talos is like, it's his son's name, and I'm like, bro, that's not emotional. That's dumb. He's putting his son at risk. He couldn't just go on the internet and write password creator. He couldn't just Google one of those good passwords. I'm also pretty sure that if you have a nuclear sub situation under your command, they probably give you a password or a code. I don't think it's just your son's name.
Anyway, and then Talos is like, Gaia, now run. We've done it. We've stopped World War III. Talos calls in the abort, and no World War III. Later, Fury asks Talos, hey, quick question. Why didn't you join Gravik? After all, Gravik does have a point. I haven't done jack fucking shit to get any of y'all planet in 30 years.
Some accountability.
Yeah, right. And so I'll take that L. I get it. There's a million Skrulls here just kicking rocks without anything to do. And that might have been my fault. And Talos is I didn't, because I'm friends with you. We're just buddies.
Yeah, we're married.
And, we're a married couple. And I love you. Meanwhile, Gravik intercepts Gaia before she can get away, and it turns out the whole thing was a Tyrion Lannister-esque ruse to flush out the traitor in their midst. And Gravik shoots Gaia. Vera then gets a text message and hurriedly leaves the house. She heads to the train station, then to a safe deposit box in the train station, which contains a gun and a big envelope. And she gets a call. And she's like, okay, blah, blah, blah. I need to speak to Gravik. And the person's like, yeah, well, you're talking to me. End of episode.
R.I.P. to Gaia. Wow. I can't believe they fridged 2 women in this show. Well, I can believe it. But is Gaia really dead? I guess we'll have to talk about
Tune in next week.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
On to episode 4, Beloved, directed by Ali Slim, written by Brian Tucker. Gaia comes back to life, having secretly given herself the Super Skrull procedure off screen.
When?
How? Well, I guess just earlier. I would have. I wanted to see her like sit in the chair and then take like a broom handle and like push a button like across.
When we saw this thing, one, it was always surrounded by super scientists. And it was fucking huge. And it seemed like you needed multiple people to do it. She almost got caught when she was just looking at like an old 90s Mac. I'm like, how did she do this without getting caught? And isn't that so convenient? Also, I just find it really funny. Like, the way Extremis works for the Skrulls is like so sick. Like, she just got shot like great. 2 times in the chest. And it's just like,
not
pop,
a problem.
Pop, fine.
Not a problem. Not a problem. We go to Paris, 2012. Vera and Fury are having dinner, and it is sometime after the Battle of New York and the public reveal of the existence of the Avengers. Vera's like, I bet you this guy that I know put the Avengers together. Seems like something he would do. And Fury's like, what? That's interesting.
Again.
Tell me about this man. I don't have anything to do with it, but I'd like to know more about this guy. And then Vera says, well, this guy that I know, he believes that, you know, the world is a dangerous place and that the weak need to be protected by heroes, and those heroes need to be put together and they need to be good people and all that kind of stuff. And by the way, I'm reading this Raymond Carver book, and Raymond Carver, great writer of short stories. Pick up any Raymond Carver collection. They're very easy to read. Some of the stories are like 3 or 4 pages. He was also a poet, was also an alcoholic, but a really, really great writer. Anyway, she then is like, here's a poem that I like. And basically what you need to know is it conveys her love for him. We go to the present. Rhodey meets Vera in a church, and it's clear that this is the person that at least she's been having some phone calls with. And Rhodey is like, yeah, I fired Fury, and it was great, and I'd do it again. I'd do it every single day of the week if I'd hire him back and then fire him just because I loved firing him so much. And here's what I want you to do and what you've been working on. You're working on assassinating Nick Fury, and I want you to continue working on that. I want you to do it. You've had many other opportunities to do it when he's just been at the house, but do it now.
I feel like it is very over the top planning to like leave a gun in like a safe deposit box that I don't think was at some kind of like, you know, secret facility or anything. Like, you could have just given her a gun another time. Like, she didn't need to go there. You could have left the gun at the house. She should have had a gun in the house this whole time. She's married to Nick Fury, so she probably
why does it have to be that gun? Yeah,
why does it have to be that gun? The whole thing, I have questions about it. Also, so they meet in 1998. They get together. At some point, they get married. But in 2012, how long has he been away that she didn't know about the Avengers Initiative?
Well, because
what kind of wedding is this?
He's just been. You know, I would imagine if you look at like the Avengers Initiative, let's say like the run from like Iron Man 2 to the Avengers, he was probably away for like a solid 1.5 to 2 years.
I feel like she could have just gone and sent him in a hotel for like
just
1 day.
Like in a helicarrier.
He's just living on the helicarrier, annoying the Avengers. Yeah, I feel like there's many cooler ways that she could have assassinated him when she's cooking him all those nice breakfasts he's eating.
Yeah, just fucking stab him with a fucking bread knife.
Stab him with a bread knife. I mean, bury him under your very nice mid-century house, or just like, you know, kill him and then call the police and be like, oh my God, the escaped maniac, Nick Fury, who killed Maria Hill, is here, and I killed myself in self-defense. No one knows we're married, so there's no way for you guys to connect us together.
Yeah, but it's got to be the gun that she has in the safe deposit box
from Skrull.
The very, very swank safe deposit box in the train station. Which
I know, I was like, is this meant to be like a special like Switzerland bank, or is it just in the train station? There's a guy here with like, he's like a butler. Like, I don't know what's going on.
I was like, did she go to a bank? But then I listened to the Foley, and they mixed in like the train station sounds. So also, it's clear that she was just like under the train station.
Why did they put the gun in the envelope? I felt like that was unnecessary. I was like, the gun is just the gun. The gun is the gun. But yeah, so Scroll Rhodey is like, you gotta kill Nick Fury, babe. It's
kill
time.
him. You gotta do it. I could have done it. I had a meeting with him, but I want you to do it. Vera then tries to argue. She's like, listen, can I be frank with you? I've had a dinner and a breakfast now with Nick since he's been back. And this guy is not worth it. He's
fucking
really
washed.
He's not worth it.
Have you watched the other 4 episodes of this show? Everyone knows it. He's tired.
He can't do anything. He cannot do anything. And Rhodey's like, no, babe, you gotta kill him. She's like, okay. Gaia reunites with Talos, and Dad's mad that Gaia got legit murdered by Gravik. And she says, don't worry about it. I'm good now. I got the fucking super Skrull juice in me, and I'm fighting for you, and I love you. Kind of the same reason that you're using to fight for Nick Fury, because you love him and I love you. But also, like, now that we've gone to the stage where, like, I've been shot and murdered in cold blood, could you come up with, like, a plan that will
like TikTok.
Get us to the finish of this thing? Because it really feels like you two oldies, you two fucking boomers are just
Flopping
like kind of by the seat of your pants here. And, you know, what are we going to do? How are we going to find an actual planet, a place to live? And Talos is like, I don't know. Here's what I'm thinking. Okay. I don't know about the planet, but just follow this train of thought here. We save the world from World War III. We go to the humans and we go, hey, we saved the world from World War III. How about an amnesty to continue living amongst you in secret? And Gaia's like, what? Like, I want to look like a Skrull naturally. Like, I want to walk around my house in Skrull skin and eat Skrull food. I don't want to be legally sanctioned to live here, but have to live as whoever this body is. Like,
also, hasn't Talos already saved the world like 30 times at this point? Like, couldn't he already have that leverage? And also, like, he's missing the whole point of leverage. You can't, like, say, oh, we saved the world already. Can you give us something in return? The president's going to be like, fuck you, you already saved it. Like, keep staying in secret. Also, why are you here? He's lived on Earth for 30 years. He should know this by now. You got to go to them, like, with the missile launch and say, hey, I could stop this, but, like, give me your promise right now. Sign a little paper right here. Do it, and then I'll save the world. He just needs a good agent. Anyway, he's like, here's what, and so that is my plan, is amnesty. And by the way, just be patient. I know you want to live in a homeland of your own, and I know it's been 30 plus years because Nick is just fucking dragging this thing out. But let's admit it, 5 years of that, he was snapped. He was blipped. So, let's just be patient, and let's just be patient about it. Vera returns home, and Nick is there. Nick says, hey, I'm just dropping in to make you some tea, and then I'm going to get out of here. But before I get out of here, we got to break up because our relationship is the biggest mistake I ever made. And and you're an alien and I'm a human. We should have known this was never going to fucking work out. All our dates are super weird, where it was like, we're having dates that are 15 years apart, but we're having like versions of the same conversation. Like, this is not going anywhere. Also, you've been hired by Rhodey to kill me. I know that because I was listening to that conversation somehow. And that's how much I trust you. I bugged you. We are done. But before we're done, just tell me like how you came to look like this extremely fine ass woman. And so Vera is like, well, this is the body of a doctor. She had terminal heart disease, and we were friends, and I go to visit her. And but all the time while I was just visiting her, I was also stressed out because like I had this job which was to like get close to you and spy on you. And then so then eventually when she was like about to check out, I was like, hey, do I have your consent to impersonate you in the afterlife, like with your whole body and everything? And I don't know, maybe not memories, but certainly the way you look and everything. And the dying doctor was like, yes, but you have to agree to 3 conditions. She's like, okay, what are they? 1,
Burial at sea. Okay, easy. No problem. Check. 2, you have to continue as you impersonate me. And what are we doing with the death certificate and how does that work? Don't worry about the legalities of this. About it. You need to continue to pretend to be me to my parents and be a good daughter to them. And she's like, okay. Up. She's like, easy. No problem. And then 3, never hurt Nick Fury.
Why would that woman care?
How does she know Nick? I guess she must have been close to Nick or be a person.
No. She did say like the way that she convinced her was asked if she wanted to fall in love.
Oh, okay.
But so it wasn't really her. It was like
see.
Her body was going to fall in love. I don't know. Sus behavior. And guess what? She did hurt Nick Fury.
That's right. By trying to assassinate him. So
rude.
Whoops. And then they both recite the Carver poem to each other. And at the end of it, they draw their pistols and shoot. And it's actually a very, very tense and exciting scene. And I was like, woo, this is juicy. But then you come back and they both missed on purpose. They shot to the side. And then she asks a very natural question, was like, hey, so if I was fully Skrulled, would we have been together? And then Nick is like, maybe not going to answer. And then he finally is like, I guess we'll never know.
Rude.
And, yeah. And then guess what? We go to Rhodey's condo where he is indeed a fucking Skrull. And guess what?
Everyone knew and now you know.
And guess what? Fury has broken into the condo and he's got a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle, a very, 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 very rare and very, very expensive brand of bourbon that is released in extremely small numbers. And if you find it, it's got a lot of connoisseurs and it is delicious. And the bottles are extremely pricey. Anyway, of course, Fury has some. Fury is like, listen, I know you're a Skrull, and I will not reveal to the world that you were a Skrull if you give me my job back. And Scrody is like, no, because let me just show you this video. And then he plays the video of Gravik as Nick Fury, Jack Ruby and Maria Hill. And he says, look at that. Everybody's going to look at that. And they're going to go, that could only be Nick Fury. It's him. Yes, he looks older and he looks more washed, but that's 100% him. Now get out of here before I defenestrate you, which means to throw out a window. Fun word. But guess what? The Pappy contained like nano trackers. And
what
so now...
Fuck? Where is Nick and Talos getting this tech from?
That's like some shit that like fucking Tony Stark had in a warehouse or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so now Talos and Nick know where Rhodey is going, which guess what? They should have put 2 and 2 together. But Rhodey is going to be part of the attack on President Riston's convoy as he leaves Air Force One. So the president gets into his limo and there's a long convoy. They're heading to the summit with the Russians to head off, a potential World War III because of the attack that Gravik formally launched in Moscow. And guess what? Here comes Gravik's attack helicopters. They're launching missiles. The fucking Riston's limo gets turned over. Riston's fucking concussed. He's knocked out.
He's strapped into a seat.
Gravik and the Skrulls they rappel down and they're killing everybody and they're speaking Russian. So everyone's like, oh shit, it's the fucking Russians, man. Fury and Talos spring into action. They just drive up and they drive through the woods.
I'm like, where is the security for Air Force One? This Rhodey is literally like, I just want to say, I realize this as we're talking here. Did they really need to put like nano trackers in the whiskey?
Because you're just like, wait a second, the president is here.
Rhodey works for the president, bro.
Yeah,
he's
like,
always with the president. That's why the Skrull is Rhodey. Like, you did not need a tracker for that. And then Rhodey didn't think to just like add some more security, or like the American government didn't think to. Talos and Nick Fury, 2 old guys, they just drive onto the runway like, hi.
Yeah, but Nick, everybody says he's washed, but he's clearly still got some of that old, guile, because he starts turning the tide. And when Gravik learns that Fury is there, he's like, okay, I'm gonna be Groot now. I'm gonna have to pull out the Super Skrull powers. Talos is hit because Gravik is like, fucking will somebody fucking shoot Talos right?
I'm sick of him.
Talos is trying to use his Skrull strength to like punch out Riston's fucking door window
He's
because
not
I guess
very good at it. I
nobody
have to say,
can
it looked
open
like
the car.
he looked like he had only old man strength. I thought it took too long. Should have just kicked it.
So he gets shot as he's trying to punch it out, right? And then because he's wounded, he starts losing control of his form. He's like fucking turning half Skrull, and the Fury has to like stop various American Secret Service agents from killing Talos because they're like, oh shit, there's an alien. One of the aliens is here. Talos then, bleeding out, manages to break the window on Ritson's car. And then Fury is like, okay, we're surrounded by 50 Secret Service agents, but I, a 70-year-old old man with a bad knee and one eye, I am going to carry the president to safety. Talos,
There's
stay
like
here.
100 soldiers there with like AK-47s.
Talos, you stay here and bleed, and I'll be right back after I carry the president. And so Fury leaves to go get Ritson to his special Range Rover that is there somehow. And while he's doing that, guess what? Of course, Gravik, pretending to be a soldier, is like, hey, I'll help you. You need help, buddy? Picks up Talos, and in front of Fury, who realizes, like, oh, fuck, I did the stupid thing, which is leave my best friend /
That's my bestie.
married partner, my partner in marriage, and in the midst of Skrulls, and now a Skrull's got him, and it's got to be Gravik, and yes, it was. And fucking Gravik guts Talos,
Rude.
and Fury shoots him in the head, but guess what? The Extremis thing, they have perfected
They
it.
perfected it.
His
shit
head just
comes
grows back.
Just like,
whoop. And
Whoop.
then Talos, I guess he's dead, but
he's just
listen,
laid on the floor. Nick Fury just left him on the floor so he could take Dermot Mulrooney. I agree. I would also save Dermot Mulrooney. Take him into a special Range Rover for the president. And Talos is there. He's on the floor. Is he dead? Jason, you have a good theory about what may occur.
I'll tell you, I feel very, very sure that the following is going to happen. We've already got Gaia as Super Skrull number 1 of the good guys, right? Super Skrull number 2 is 100% going to be Talos because Gaia knows how to run the machinery clearly. Right?
Easily. I mean, imagine how much easier it'd be to run on someone else, not just yourself.
Yeah. And she's going to go, no, my dad, we can't let him die like this. I know how we can save him. And then they're going to give him the Super Skrull procedure. And then it's going to be Talos with the Super Skrull powers alongside his beloved daughter, who he's been at times estranged from, Gaia. And together with their newfound powers, they are going to defeat Gravik. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's going to be episode 5. I agree.
Let's see. Rhodey the Skrull, how long? Good question. Post Endgame, or was he there at the battle of Avengers compound, like scrolling it?
I would love that they would. You know how I feel about it. I don't think they should have called it Secret Invasion. I think they should have. If they were going to call it that, I think they should have played closer. I think this version of Rhodey, the way they got Dom playing him, which is really fun, but like, I think this is new. I think all the Skrulls we see is like a relatively new situation. I think Rhodey and Tony, they had their little relationship. They were living their life. This explains probably why Rhodey doesn't have any leg braces or any kind of help with his back after it got broken.
Yeah, he just healed up.
This is relatively new. I think this is a post-blip situation. I think this probably is like a 3 days before the show started kind of situation.
So Rhodey is on one of those electric sleds in the basement too. It's hooked up to the Blu-ray player that has their entire life on the
Go through
screen.
there and find out when Tony got called Tony Stank. You can be like playing the best moments.
Other questions. What do you think? Talos dead?
No, I think you're right. I think Talos is coming back, baby. I mean, there's 2 more episodes left, which is almost half of the show. And this show was sold on the idea that the reason it wasn't going to be like the comics was because of this Ben Mendelsohn, Sam Jackson chemistry, which I do agree with. So hopefully we see more of that. Or maybe this will like radicalize Gaia and he really is dead. And then Gaia and Nick Fury will be together, or Nick will have to stop Gaia from killing Gravik for some reason, because you know that they always decide somebody shouldn't die. It's going to be very interesting. I have no idea where the next 2 episodes are going to go in like a long-term impact, but I will say my one takeaway. I think they are obsessed with the president, even though he's like never in the show. And I do understand. Dermot Mulroney, I love you, so I understand that. But like, I I think, and I understand that in like an espionage style thriller or a spy movie or an action movie, a lot of times they'll be like, we got to save the president. So I do understand it could just be coming from that, right? He is the most powerful man in the world. We got to save him. But I think the obsession with the president, saving the president, putting the president that we've never heard of, that isn't someone from the comics as far as I know, President Ritson, I think that the president's either going to die or become replaced by a Skrull at the end of the show, and that's kind of the end goal of the movie.
I think you had a good take before we started rolling, which is that this is going to dovetail directly into Thunderbolts, which I agree with.
It feels like it.
You've now had a Skrull attack, possibly with the collusion of Nick Fury and others. Like
people are not going to trust superheroes.
There's going to be no more trust, and we're like, we need to have the superheroes we can trust, that we control, that we have brainwashed, maybe even
exactly.
And I think that is potentially what's going to happen.
So I think
directly into a Thunderbolts
the
type
finale will be like Ritson gets killed. Potentially, and then you open the door for President Thunderbolt Ross, which we know is going to happen with Harrison Ford. And then, hilarious. Can't wait to see. I'm sure he's going to be in it for like 5 minutes before he gets CGI turned into Red Hulk.
Hey, well, have you seen that clip where somebody's like, so are you going to be the Red Hulk? And he was like,
What's the Red Hulk?
Who?
I love him so much. He's like the most fun. And then the other options I think it could be quite likely that like, Talos, if he survives, maybe he pretends to be the president, and the idea is like, well, Nick and the Skrulls and Saber can control the threat, or the more Thunderboltsy version, I feel like that would lead in better, would be like if Gravik ends up replacing the president.
I love the idea. I love the idea of Talos or another Skrull as the president, and just like signing random executive orders that now everyone has to plant these like Skrull eggplants in their garden or whatever.
You got to have these delicious eggplants. They're great for the environment and delectable.
Every man, woman, and child in this country must plant 12 Skrull eggplants.
It's time for the eggplant planting.
Okay, up next, Nerd Out.
In today's Nerd Out, where you tell us what you love and why, a theory you're excited to share, or a quick question we can answer, Mike from Loveland offers a Skrull celestial theory.
Oh, I like this. You want to read it?
Hello, X-Ray crew. Hello, Mike. A very long shot theory with major implications that I wanted to float your way. In the comics, Skrulls are famously tampered with by Celestials, just like the humans in the Kree. What if in the MCU they're even more compatible than we've been led to believe? Gravik is messing with Skrull DNA. What if some of those million Skrulls and humans have been messing around with DNA the old-fashioned way, aka having sex? You see where I'm going? Well, if that's what mutants are. Over and over they tell us these Skrulls are mostly good and just want families. They got busy making it happen. Long story short, Kamala Khan's father in the MCU is a Skrull. Boom!
I like it.
He said, I know Namor probably invalidates this theory but we love an outrageous theory.
I do think that when they eventually get around to mutation, it's going to be, we've talked about this before, but it's going to happen several different ways. There's going to be the weird alien energy way. There's going to be the interdimensional way. There's going to be the inbreeding with aliens way. And there's going to be the straight up, you're just born with powers kind of way. And I think you're right. I think you're right, Mike, because Beto is gotta be Nick Fury's son with Rara.
And we know that has to be the case. That Captain Bob had a son and he loved his son. Now, was that his real son? And if his real son was a human, or was his son a Skrull, or was that someone else's son? There is a lot of questions around Skrull biology.
Maybe he's been Captain Bob for so long that he was just like, fuck, I guess I'm gonna have a baby. A kid. I'm gonna have a baby. I can't keep putting this off with my human wife.
She really wants me to have this baby. I also think now that we're getting into this Super Skrull situation, that unlike the Jack Kirby Stanley version that we all know, which is to do with the Fantastic Four, is more the vein of they've biologically manipulated the Skrulls to have these powers.
Yeah.
If these Skrulls then had kids, you could have kids in the future who
like
had similar powers. Though we know mutants don't tend to have genetic powers that match their parents. But I think that there's some interesting stuff here. And I think basically this could definitely be a contender for a We Were Right in the future, simply because I think at the moment the MCU and the people behind it don't necessarily have a set track for where we're going. So I think any of these things...
They have options,
Namor,
not a track.
Kamala, exactly. And then this, they give options for how these things could come to pass when we eventually see the good old X-Men.
Can I say one thing I think that
Please.
they needed early in Secret Invasion is some kind of scene where it's like, well, we had the Skrull detector, but it doesn't work anymore.
Exactly.
Because
something.
there's no way that Nick Fury would have been working with these shapeshifters for 4 decades
years.
without being like, hey, somebody figure out a way to like detect them. Because we can't, this is untenable. We can't just be like walking around wondering if people are aliens. Like we need some kind of ray that it reveals them.
And if he can see them with his eyeball, he's doing a good job pretending not to be able to. You know,
like
if
they
the
live,
flirking can
like
sense
a they
it.
live situation.
Yeah, some sunglasses.
Yeah.
That would actually be so sick. 3D man.
That would be so cool.
Like, I agree with you because it just is not believable that they knew the Skrulls could shapeshift and they were just like, that's cool with them just staying on Earth. Don't worry about it. Nothing could go wrong. Definitely nothing could go wrong. I agree with you. Can I just say one thing? I think what they need in Secret Invasion, I want to hear Samuel L. Jackson say, there's too many secrets on this motherfucking invasion. Like, I'm like, just lean into it, guys, at this point. The show's too serious. And there's not enough secrets, actually, I will say. Thanks, Mike. If you have theories, passions, or quick questions you want to share, hit us up at xray@crooked.com. Instructions in the show notes.
That's it for us. Rosie, any plugs?
Yeah, come see me. I'll be at San Diego Comic-Con.
Woo!
Having fun, doing some panels. You can check my Instagram for the panel information. My Instagram's Rosie Marks. And then just here, twice a week.
Catch the next episode of the X-Ray Vision program on July 19th, when we will be covering Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. This is the trend of the summer, is the big movie that's actually only the first part of the movie. Fast and the Furious did it first. Now Mission Impossible is going to do it second. We're going to be having a very special guest, Shea Serrano, on the program.
Most honest guest.
Most honest guest ever. We're going to be discussing the entire Mission Impossible series and, of course, Dead Reckoning Part 1, which I think he's going to see tonight.
Oh! And you can watch full episodes of the podcast on YouTube, including our Dark Knight special featuring Shea Serrano. Also, check out our Twitter at XRVPod and our Discord, where you can hang out with me and Jason and a ton of cool fans.
5-star ratings, 5-star reviews. We need them. We got to have them. You got to give them to us. Here's one from J.R. Scherer. Listen to this podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Jason and Rosie are great hosts, and I love their immense enthusiasm. It's also super rare that this old nerd me says, well, actually, while listening, and that's impressive. Well, thank you very much, J.R. Scherer.
Appreciate it. See you next time.
See you next time.